Hello, everyone, and welcome to 100% You, a podcast which is all about discovering who you're truly meant to be and becoming the best version of yourself. I'm your host, Bari, and I've been on the self development journey for the past 14 years and spiritual journey for the past 12 years. In today's episode, we're going to talk about meditation, a habit that I established a few years ago and it became one of my favorite things in the world. And the thing that always gives me clarity and helps me to navigate through challenging times in my life. This episode, I remember when I just started meditating, it was really hard for me to go on this path. What I will try to do today is actually give you the vision of why do you need meditation, a little bit about my journey and how can meditation actually can help you, because I feel like we all heard that meditation is good for you, but I want to go a little bit deep down into that and actually help you understand why it is such a crucial thing you can add into your life. And we will have a few episodes about meditation. This is just the first one in this little series, and I hope you will gain some great understanding on how you can start and get some inspiration from today's episode. And I also want to add about the reason that I don't have video today. So I don't know when you're going to hear this episode. Maybe you're going to hear it when I post it. Maybe you'll hear it just a few years later. I don't know. But we currently have in Israel another war with Iran. So I preferred not to use camera for today just in case we're going to have siren, because it's just me and my dog in the house now. And I want to be responsible. And in case we have siren, I'll take her and I will not have to start to, plug in everything and save the video on my computer. So just in case, I thought it would be better to just record an episode without a video today. So let's start. So first, I want to tell you a little bit about my journey, because currently I am trying to meditate every day. I'm not perfect. I am trying my best. I can tell you that since we started 2026, I've been not meditating every day, but I'm trying and doing my best to do it. Last year I was meditating every day, and I feel the difference when I don't meditate. I started meditating around 2022. 2023, it was the year that I actually started implement this in my life on a daily basis. And for a very long time, I wanted to start meditating, but I just couldn't start. From, I think, 2016, 2017, I wanted to start meditating. I knew how good it can be for my life, but I was curious to hear about meditations. I also was buying books about meditation. I didn't read any of them because I probably wasn't ready for that. I can tell you now, I wasn't ready to go on this journey. I was not prepared for it. I was interested in meditation, but it felt like, why should I sit for, I don't know, certain time and just close my eyes? It felt nonsense. I had different things, different habits that really helped me. So meditation didn't feel necessary at that point. Also, I feel like back then I did not understand the power of meditation. I did not understand why I need it. I felt like the people who doing meditation is basically to reduce anxiety, and I didn't have anxiety, so I didn't feel the need for it. Also, I used to had my little morning routine and night routine of imagining the life that I want and be grateful. So I didn't felt the need to add on top of it another thing, another habit. And the first thing that I actually encountered in meditation without even realizing was when I was 18. And how it happened was actually really funny. I downloaded some kind of an app on my phone of doing yoga, and I used to practice yoga almost every day. I really like this app. I don't think it exists anymore. I don't even remember the name of the app, but I loved this app so much. And at the end of each session, they had, back then I didn't know it's meditation, but later on I understood it was meditation. They had some kind of session that when you finish the meditation, you just lay on your back on the floor, and then they had like 7 minutes track of scanning your entire body and feeling every cell of your body renew itself. And you just feel fresh after this little 7 minutes activation scanning meditation. And again, I didn't know it's a meditation back then. I understood it only later. But it was 7 minutes of me just laying on the floor, and there was a voice that was telling me what to feel, how to breathe, And that was basically the goal of this scanning of my body, was to renew the cells in my body and have perfect health. And I became obsessed with this scanning of the body meditation. I remember I used to wait to do the yoga training just to have the scanning session at the end. And after 2-3 months I was doing this, I don't remember what happened. I think I lost my phone or broke it, so I didn't have the app anymore. And then I'm pretty sure the app was not existed, or I didn't found it later on. But I was missing the feeling of this 7 minutes that I had after every yoga training. And I think it was the first time that I heard about, it's not that I heard about it, because again, I didn't understand it was really a meditation, but it was the first form of meditation that wasn't just like sitting quiet and just doing nothing, because I could not relate to this, to just sitting and thinking about nothing. Every time I tried to do it, it just felt nonsense. I didn't understand why should I do it. So later on, a few years later, when I was maybe 20, 21, 22, 21, 2021, I was trying to meditate because I heard it's a good thing. I was really into those kind of stuff. But again, every time that I tried, I remember I used to Google it or like read a book about something of how to meditate, and I remember, or like I asked someone, I don't remember the specific, but in general, I remember that the idea I had about meditation in my really early 20s, 21, 20, it was sitting in a quiet room and try to have no thoughts. And when I tried it a few times, as I said, I did not relate to this concept. I did not understand like what's the goal of this thing. I did not understand what's the point of it. I heard that people say that eventually it's good and it helps you and you're going to get clarity about your life and stuff. But again, I did not understand why do I need just to sit and try to have no thoughts. After a few years, I started reading Joe when I was 22. I don't remember what was first. Was it me reading the book or me taking a course? I think it was first the book. I read Joe Dispenza book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And it was the first time that I actually introduced to a different concept of meditation, of actually working on something during the meditation and not just sit quietly. Joe Dispenza meditation, first of all, if you don't know who Joe Dispenza is, I highly recommend to look at his work. Joe Dispenza basically helps people. If I'm not wrong, he's a neuroscientist, he's a doctor, and he helps people to change and transform their life through meditation. His focus is mainly on patients, on disease. Many people who has cancer, they come to his seminars, read his books, and he has so many testimonials of people heal themselves completely through meditation. He himself started his journey because he had a very hard injury in his spine, and he's supposed to be disabled his entire life. And then, because he was very spiritual back then, and he had the knowledge about, he already finished his studies, he had the knowledge about how our body works. He tried himself to meditate for 12 weeks. And in 12 weeks, he healed himself completely from everything he had. And the doctors thought it was a complete miracle. And when it happened and he healed himself, he promised himself that he will devote his entire life to this topic and to help other people and to research this, because he was so shocked that it actually worked, and he found so many other people around the world that it worked for them too, to meditate and heal themselves. So when I read his book and I saw the scientific view of meditation and how you can actually change and program your entire life through meditation, it opened my eyes, and I started viewing meditation in a different aspect. And after a few weeks of reading the book, I also registered for a course of someone in Israel that teaches Joe Dispenza method with his twist, I would say. And during this course, it was the first time that I actually tried to meditate with guidance for the first time. And I jumped into the water. Like, I started meditating for 30-40 minutes at the beginning. And what was great about it is that I had structure. I was reading the book and I had this course and someone else teaching me what to do. Otherwise, I don't think I would know how to even, start this entire journey of meditation, because again, like, I did not understand how is it working, what should I do. And also, when you just try to meditate for the first time, for the second time, even for the 10th time, you'll probably feel nothing, or it will be hard for you to sit, and you will not understand probably the reason behind why you should do meditation. It may take time and consistency. Like, consistency, that's the key, I feel like, in meditation, in order to actually start seeing the results. So I will stop here for a second, and I just want to go over the benefits you can gain from meditation. So why do we even need meditation? There's a few things you can actually do with meditation, and I'll just touch a few of them. But to give you a bit of a vision of what can you expect and which path can you take, because there's so many different kinds of meditations. There are meditations with sound, without sound. There's meditation just for breathing. There's meditation for imagination. There's self-programming meditations. There's so many types. There's a few minutes meditation. There's 2 hours long meditation. It really depends on what's your goals, what you want, what do you find relatable, and what stage are you in your life. So the most common one types of meditation is to use this tool of meditation to actually reduce stress and do some kind of biological reset. If you're the type of person who constantly has anxiety, who is constantly has the fears and stress in your life, doing meditation, maybe more breath work, can help you actually maintain this kind of stability in your life and reduce the stress that you hold right now. It will help you to lower your cortisol. Meditation is like the off switch, I would say, for stress hormone. It moves the body from survival mode. And a lot of what Joe Dispenza also talks about is the heart-brain coherence. Basically, what it helps you is the meditation helps you to sync the heart and the brain in order to create inner harmony and strengthen the immune system. So I can tell you about myself. When I just started meditating, I was facing so much fear. It was really hard for me to close my eyes. I remember I was sitting for this like 30, 40 minutes. I had this meditation. And after around 5, 10 minutes. Oh, and also it's important to say I started doing the meditations with mask on my eyes, on my face. You can use mask. You can also not use a mask. I started with using a mask because that's what they recommended in the course that I took. And using the mask was actually something that I learned just a few months later was really hard for me. So today when I do meditation, I don't use a mask. I like that I have a little bit of light coming in, because this complete darkness was really harming me. So I started the meditation when I had really chaos in my life, and it was really challenging period that I had. So every time I closed my eyes, I was imagining like nightmares, and it was really hard for me to keep my eyes closed. I remember sometimes I knew there's no one behind me, but I felt like there's someone behind me. And it was something that coming every time, again and again and again, that I just could not close my eyes. I felt like there's someone behind me. I felt like someone is going to kill me. I don't know, but all this fear started to pop out when I used to close my eyes. And when I started doing meditations, and at the beginning, as I said, it was really hard to do the entire session. I used to open my eyes every time because I was literally scared from something happening to me. I felt like my entire body goes into like anxiety mode, and I'm not a person who has anxieties at all. So it was really weird for me. And when I removed the mask, it was a bit easier. I didn't have it that intense as when I do have the mask, but still I used to have this situation where I felt like someone is standing behind me or watching me. I thought I was alone at home. And I remember that it took me time to release that and just let go. I don't remember if I read it somewhere, if I heard it somewhere, or I just like understood it by myself. But there was one point at the beginning when I just started the meditation when I think I learned in this course that when we are starting this journey of meditation, especially the kind of meditation that actually reprogram your mind, a lot of fear comes out. And the goal is to just go through this pain, go through this fear, and once we go through it, we let it go. Once we let it go and just go through it, I remember Joe Dispenza talks a lot about it. When you have those fears, that's when you know that your meditation is actually working. When you don't feel like it, when it feels scary, when you feel those all weird feelings. So I decided to try to let go, and it was so scary, but I gave it a chance after a few weeks that I tried to meditate almost every day for 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I tried to let it go. And I remember from the very beginning when I let go, I had the most intense meditation sessions. Another thing about Joe Dispenza's meditation is that he talks in the meditation. It's not like just sound and music. He talks and you're going through some kind of process during the meditation. Let go of something, let in something new, break some kind of pattern you have. So it's kind of a work that you have or imagining the life that you want, but it's visualizing, feeling all together. And from very early on, when I started letting go of these fears that I had the most intense meditations. I used to see things very vividly. I used to have crazy imaginations. And I start feeling this crave of I want more. When I really devote to this and I was consistent, I don't remember exactly how much time was it, but I think it was a few good weeks that I really tried to do meditations every day. And it was really hard for me. It was really hard. I'm not saying it was really easy. It was hard. I was skipping days. I wasn't doing every day as I wanted to do, but I tried my best. The times that I was consistent, I felt more calm, like something is happening in my life. I felt like I'm getting some kind of guidance through the meditation. So that was my experience. And I can tell you that now, not only that I don't feel this fears anymore because I broke it already 2-3 years ago. The meditations that I'm doing today are much stronger, and I get into this place of I feel like I'm actually doing the work much faster. Also, another thing is that after a while that I started doing the meditation, we had war here in Israel. We had October 7, and it was in 2023. And I started doing meditation at the beginning of 2023. It was, I think it was around February, January that I started doing meditation. So when we had the war, I remember I really struggled again to do the meditation because every time I closed my eyes, I felt like there is a terrorist behind me, and I felt it very, very hard to go back to meditations. And because I understood the power of just let go and go through this fear, because I had such a huge fear of just letting go. Think of you have war in your country, you know that terrorists going on your streets, and you have sirens every other hour and you don't feel safe. So closing your eyes and going to this place of try to meditate was very, very scary. And because I understood the power of just going through this fear, I took it as a challenge. And after a few days of really taking it as a challenge and go through the pain and challenges and fears again, although I was imagining there's like a terrorist behind me when every time I closed my eyes, I was able to meditate properly. And it was one of the greatest gifts I gave myself back then, the meditation. And from that point on, I was very consistent with meditations and trying to do it almost every day. And I'm telling you, meditation really, really changed my life. So another thing that with meditation can help you, and again, as I said, there's so many types of different meditations, but as we said, first is reducing stress. The second thing is that meditation can help you with is to connect with yourself and be aware of things in your life. When you're meditating, you're like meeting the observer. You're observing your own life. It allows you to step back from your thoughts and meet your true self. Watch your thoughts, watch your behaviors, watch your emotions, and not be the one who thinks about them. Like you're actually stepping back and saying like, I observed my life right now. And also, it's a great quality time for yourself and be super intentional with what you truly want. So, I can tell you that I had many times that I discovered crazy things about myself or even the smallest things through meditations. Sometimes I put tracks off still Joe Dispenza or like different tracks, and I'm not necessarily doing the work that he says in in the track itself, but sometimes I'm just thinking about, I love to do it a lot actually. I talk to myself during meditations. Usually I don't just sit in the meditation without any thoughts. Sometimes I do have it if I do different kind of work, but most of the time I do have thoughts during meditation. And I know when you maybe think about meditation for the first time, you're probably thinking, wait, but how can you think during meditation? So I love to think during meditation, but the kind of thinking I have is usually very intentional. It's maybe taking some kind of situation I have in my life and actually observing it, or trying to find a solution and be open to receive a solution. So meditation gives me the structure to be aware of certain things in my life and give me the ability to observe them. And this quietness that you have during meditation is also, for me, gives me the ability to receive the answers that I'm looking for. Now, there is a huge difference between thinking and observing, because there is the type of thoughts that you can maybe sit quietly and you're going to have the most random thoughts, like what I ate this lunch, about the text message you got, maybe about a person you met, maybe you start thinking about the trip you're going to have in a few weeks. That's the kind of thoughts you don't want during the meditation. But the intentional thoughts, intentional observing that I have, at least during meditation, it's when I'm super intentional and I decide to think about something, to observe a situation. I don't just sit and a lot of thoughts just comes to my mind and I let them. I intentionally think about something. And that's one of the main things about meditation that also it helps you to learn, is to be intentional and present. Once you're present, you don't have those thoughts, random thoughts coming and popping in your mind. And that's probably one of the first thing that you will learn when you start practicing the meditation, is to let go of these thoughts. And at the beginning, it's very hard to let go of this random thoughts that pops in your mind. But once you actually start being aware of them and act as the observer, you understand the power of awareness and being present. And then sometimes you also take this practice into your everyday life, awakening life, and not during meditation. And you realize how many random thoughts you have that you don't even aware of, or you're not controlling, and they just automatically pops in your mind. So that's the kind of work you would like to do probably during meditation. It's okay to think, but when you do the thinking through meditation, it will be the intentional thinking and not the, what do I need to eat for lunch? What color of shoes I want to wear tomorrow? It's the more intentional things of why do I have this pattern again in my life? What do I want to happen in the situation? And be more and more intentional. And definitely lets you also learn about yourself different and new things. I learned a lot about patterns I had in my life through meditation. And I can tell you that thanks to meditation, I released some of the biggest blockages I had around so many areas in my life. And it's something that just popped in my mind during meditations. When you don't have this random thoughts and you're really intentional and present during meditation, you open a channel to receive messages from God, from the universe, and those are the most powerful things. I know that when I have some kind of intuition during meditation, this is something I need to act on immediately, especially if I'm really present during meditation. This podcast started from a pure intuition I had during meditation, as I told you a few times. And since I was very consistent and present in my meditations, I just knew I have to do it. I wasn't dreaming about having a podcast. I didn't even plan to do it. I just had this intuition. I was asking for something, and was the answer that I got. And here I am, and I'm so glad I started doing this podcast. And if I didn't listen to this small intuition that I had, I probably wouldn't have so many opportunities that I had till now, thanks to this podcast. So that's also a cool thing. The third thing about meditation is you can reprogram your mind. So if we look at Joe Dispenza's work and what he teaches in Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, the book that I told you that I read, I highly recommend to read it too. And also You Are the Placebo, also amazing book. So there's a few things inside this. First of all, think about it as your mind is a blank page. And when you were born, you start consume more and more things in your mind. And you start to consume it from your environment, your family, your friends, the school you grew up in, the teachers, everything. And your mind starts to build by the thoughts, beliefs that you observed from the reality you were living in. Now, this is something important to remember. This is never something that you cannot change. You always can change your destiny. You can always change your future. You can also always change your mind and decide this is not something I want to keep living. And remember that eventually, also from neuroscience perspective, the way your mind is programmed, your thoughts, your behaviors, your belief, your emotions, this is eventually the life you're going to live. The way your mind is programmed, this is the reality you're going to see. If you don't like the reality you have right now, you need to reprogram your mind. And you can do it through meditations. Every time you meditate, you basically fire and wire new cells in your body, new beliefs that you want to have. You can release traumas, release bad habits. And this is also a lot of Joe Dispenza work. You can actually reprogram your entire life and tap into new and completely different destiny from what you have now. You can also observe traumas, observe situation, observe patterns you have in your life through meditations. And this is, I think, the most powerful tool, meditation, to actually change your life. I can tell you that in the past year and a half, I discovered through meditations many subconscious limited beliefs that I had that I didn't know exist. And only through meditation, I had the capacity and ability to actually understand it. And when I say, for those who are new to meditation, so when I say I discovered those traumas and whatever. So let me take you a bit deeper so you can understand the vision. So when you're very consistent with meditation, your body is in alignment with the universe, I would say. You're much more open to receive. There's crazy synchronicities happening in your life. And I want to point and say that it's only if you're very present during meditation, because if you're doing meditation and you're consistent every day, but you have this random thought and you're not aware, so you are consistent, but you're not doing the right work, and that's fine. It takes practice. I remember also at the beginning when I started meditating, I wasn't at the beginning, fully present. It took me a few weeks, maybe months, but it takes time. So when you're consistent with meditations and you're fully present during meditation, you release all the random thoughts and you're very intentional during the meditation. You can manifest, you can reprogram your mind, you can do whatever you want during the sessions. But when you are fully present, you become some kind of channel with the universe. You open a channel with the universe and you start actually receive intuitive messages. Sometimes it comes from most random things that you hear during the meditation. Sometimes you see during meditation. I have meditations that I don't see anything. I see blackness and I just, sit with my thoughts and intentions. And sometimes I have movies running in my mind when I meditate. Sometimes I hear voices. Sometimes it really depends. Like every time I have something else. And most of the time I have boring meditations and I don't feel anything. So it really depends. But when you're consistent with meditation and you're doing the work, at some point you will become synchronized with the universe and start receiving messages. And these messages can be, I can tell you that one of the strongest meditation I had when I released traumas and realized what kind of subconscious limited beliefs I had, it was meditation I did of getaway experience tapes, which is a whole different topic. I hope we'll talk about it one day, but it's too much for right now. It's like very advanced, I would say. It's some kind of meditation that build upon each other. And it was the fourth meditation that I did from the series of the getaway experience tapes. And the whole meditation was with different kind of sounds. And there was a concept of like you open a box and you let inside the box all your fears and all the things in your life. And once I did this, I saw clearly what was my fears, because at some point of the meditation, they tell you to open the box and see what kind of fears you have. And because I was so tuned and so present, I was actually able to see actually the fears that I had, the unconscious limited beliefs that I had, and it was really an aha moment. So that can also happen. The fourth thing with meditation is also about manifestation and the quantum field and imagining the life that you want. So you probably heard a lot about the term manifestation. So the whole concept is basically you have some kind of vision of the life you want, something you want to manifest, you want to achieve, to have, to attract in your life. And during the meditation, the practice is basically envision it, to see it very clearly and to feel it. The emotion is very, very, very important here, because in order to change your identity and to tune into this frequency of achieving or attracting this certain thing that you want, because eventually everything is existing right now. And in order to attract something that you want, you need to tap into the frequency of you having this certain thing. And once you tune to this frequency, you're doing it through imagining it and through feel that it's already yours, having this certainty in your life that you already have it, and just tune to this frequency. So during meditation, you can also manifest, you can imagine the life that you want. I really love those kind of meditations. And again, most of the time, I just use the same track of meditation, and based on my mood every day, I just decide very intuitively, like, what do I want to do during the meditation. Sometimes I'm just sitting and doing nothing, but sometimes I feel like imagining the life that I want, imagine something that I want to attract. Sometimes I just being grateful about the life that I want or about the life that I have. For me, it really depends on my mood and what my goals are during meditation. So when you combine a clear intention with emotion, like gratitude, let's say, your brain doesn't know the difference between the thoughts and the reality, and you begin to signal new genes in new ways. That's the whole point of the manifestation things during meditation, is to basically create the reality inside your mind, because eventually our brain does not have the understanding what is reality and what is not. So when you create it in your own mind, and especially during meditation, when you're super present and you have this quality time of yourself, you can actually change your entire reality. Now, you can also do it while you're awake and you're not meditating, but during meditation, it can be more powerful because you have this kind of cocoon situation that you're inside yourself, and it's different type of presence, which can help you actually tune to that energy. And the last thing about meditation that can help you, the fifth thing that I want to touch in today, is about clarity and your career and what you're doing in your everyday life. So I can tell you about myself that I actually forgot about this completely, but I used to do small meditations, like 5 minutes meditation when I was in high school, and also when I worked in sales when I was 21. And those types of meditation was more like just close my eyes and see the results that I want. And it actually helped me so much during exams in my final year in high school, and also when I worked in sales. And the way it worked was that every morning, let's say I worked in sales, so I was stuck on some kind of number of sales and I could not sell more than that. So I used to sit every morning and imagine the number of sales I made that day. I was imagining the feeling, I was imagining everything, the excitement, and I was putting myself inside the shoes of someone who already closed 3 deals today, who already closed 2 deals today, who already made 200,000 shekels in sales that month. So I put myself in different frequency, and I'm telling you, it worked like magic. The moment I started using those small, a few minutes imagination method, I became number one salesperson in the company. Also, the same it was in my high school. I didn't know how to study for exams, and I was really bad at that. But once I started to imagining my success in exams, my grades increased. I started getting such good grades, and I'm telling you, there was no difference between the year prior and that year, except from the meditations. And the entire feeling that I had was just that I understood something here. So every time I have something very important, I'm trying to close my eyes for just 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and imagine the results that I want. Also, before this podcast, I try every episode before I start recording. I close my eyes. I'm doing really small meditation of like 1 minute, 2 minutes, and I just try to tune to that energy of everything with the universe, of like whatever I need to be said, just get it through me so I could say whatever needs to be said, and this message will get to millions of people. Like, that's what I'm meditating before every episode. Okay, so let's wrap up this a little bit and I'll give you some practical steps. So if you thought about starting meditation, first of all, good luck. I'm so happy for you. I love meditation, and I hope you're going to fall in love with meditation as well. I would start very easy. Don't push yourself something that you don't feel comfortable with. you need to understand where is the optimal place to start. Is it on sitting on a chair, on the floor, maybe sitting, maybe lying on your bed? Like, find the most comfortable situation. I would start with some kind of a goal. You can also start without a goal, but I feel like it's easier if you practice through some kind of method or goal, or you have some kind of goal, either to manifest something, reduce stress, do more breathing, be more present. Like, if you have some kind of goal, it will be easier to stay consistent. I also would start small. Like, I wouldn't start with 30, 40 minutes meditation. I would start with like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 minutes even. And the last thing I would say is try to also make it as a habit of something that can really help you. So I know that every time I have exam, I have something important, I have a sale that I need to make. I know that the habit that I have is to have this small meditation of 2 minutes. I know that every morning after I read my book, I sit and do meditation. Sometimes if I don't have my routine planned properly, I will not have the meditation, but I try to habit stacking in order to have it as easy as possible for me. I would also research a little bit and start listening to podcasts about meditation. Joe Dispenza is a great one. Also, expand your knowledge about why meditation is great for you and how you can do in some kind of different methods, and try different kind of meditation. You can just Google and you look at YouTube what kind of meditations you like. There's different kind of apps for meditations. Try and experiment with different types, but once you start a meditation, finish it. That's something very important, because at the beginning, I feel like it's very hard to sit and do the meditation. So find something that you feel comfortable with and finish it. Let yourself finish the meditation. We will have more episodes about meditation, but I want to make just the first one kind of introduction about a bit about my journey about meditation, things that I would love to hear if I was just at the beginning of my journey about meditation, things that I feel that people don't really talk about. And we will have another episode, but that's what I have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I'll see you next week. So, bye.